Hello and welcome back to How to Paint with Acrylics. I'm really excited today because I have a really cool episode to share with you. I get a lot of questions from beginning artists asking how to paint with realistic light sources. So creating a light source that shines in the scene and realistically lights up a subject with indirect lighting and other complicated effects. This is a little bit tricky and it does take some practice, but I think it's worth it in the end. So we're going to get started. This scene is going to mostly be dark. It's going to have a candle light in it. There's going to be a candle on this side shining light onto an object. I think I'm going to paint a human skull. It's a little bit dreadful, but we're going to try and kind of create a temporal theme here. I don't know. So I don't want this to be too dark, and I don't want it to be too light either, so I'm just going to be using a mixture of black and white when I'm making my background. You see how the black and the white mixes together to kind of create a gray color. This already sets up the painting for indirect lighting. It's not pitch black with no ambient lighting, but the white helps complement and create a gray background lighting. So before we continue any further, I would like to set up a rule of thirds. We haven't really discussed the rule of thirds, but I think it's important to separate your work into 3 sections so that you have a better idea of how the composition will work. So the way I like to do it is I take a straight object like a pencil here, and I put kind of a contrasting color on the pencil, so I'm going to use this red color here. And then what I do is I lay the pencil down on the paper about 1/3 through, and when you do that you get a nice straight line which will show you where 1/3 of your picture is. And then you can do that on the other side also, just like that. Okay? So that's how I make my thirds. So 1/3 of my picture is going to be over here on the left. This is going to be the candle. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the candle. I'm going to create the wax. It's going to be kind of a tall, waxy candle. This is going to be a little bit of a tricky thing to do because there's the candlestick, but I want it to be kind of a complex mixture, and you have to maybe play around with your type of paint you have. So I'm using pink and yellow together, and I might even throw just a small touch of white in there. And I kind of use my press technique to get a good candlestick going, and that's looking pretty good. I think I might add a little bit of slight touch of orange, since there's going to be an orange hint in the lighting that we're going to be using in this one. And then what I also like to do is my light source is going to be at the top, and so I'm going to add my candle wick up there at the top. Okay, and then the fire on the very top is going to be a very intense yellow kind of color, and then we're going to add hints of orange in the flame, and of course red. So it's we're also going to touch on color mixing, which is partly what's going on here. So we're mixing colors to create a realistic kind of flame. So now that we have the candle top, we have to create the base. It's going to be kind of one of those old-fashioned plaster ones with a curly handle. And just going to kind of fill that out there. Okay, and what's going to happen is the light is going to be shining across the scene. Notice how the whole candlestick is fitting in the left third of the picture. So I'm going to create light rays coming from the candle so I can see exactly where they're going. Notice how I'm drawing them in straight lines. You can use your pencil that you used earlier to make straight lines for light rays. You can put some, like I put some of the yellow on the pencil and just press down, and you can see how it creates rays of light going across the room to the other side. So now we're going to light our other subject. So I have my 1/3 here of the one side of the picture. This is going to be human skull. Skulls are white, so I'm just going to get a little bit of white in here for the skull, and it's going to be on the right hand side of the third. And I'm just going to start. This is something that I'm doing for memory. You can use a picture for reference when you're doing a skull like this, but I feel like I could do it by memory here. So I'm going to create the jaw here and teeth. There you go. Okay. And it does kind of tend to mix with the other colors, and you might have to continually apply a little bit more white to keep the skull a lighter color with the other parts. And then I create the cavities in the skull's head by adding the dark hole. There's one eye, there's another eye, nose, and then fill in little cracks in the mouth between the teeth. And you can kind of, like the pressing technique I taught earlier in one of my earlier videos, index finger, second finger, and just press. There you go. And just press, and press, and press. And since we want to create kind of the look of the teeth, strike, strike. And that's pretty much how you can do your skull. So now we have to talk about the light source. So your candlelight is shining onto the skull. We're going to create a harsh line here where the light is hitting the skull, and also a harsh bright white line where the light is also hitting the skull. And very gently, not very much, blend slightly into the skull a little bit. This shows the light coming in onto the skull. Okay, and you can also continue that downwards through towards the bottom. And then on the back side, this is where it's kind of fun, because when light is shining, it's not just in one spot. It bounces off and off of the object and hits the walls, and then it finally it does touch the back of the skull also through indirect lighting. So we're going to add just a slight glow here in the back for where the indirect lighting is touching the skull, and just blend that slightly. So we have the main harsh lines of light here, and then a little bit of indirect lighting in the back of where the light is coming around and hitting the back. So I think I'm pretty happy with this picture. One thing I do need to do is get rid of the lines showing where I divided the picture into thirds. So I'm just going to blend that away so that that isn't distracting in the final picture, and the other third is right here. So I got rid of those thirds so that that's not distracting anymore in the picture. Okay, and then the last thing is to sign it here with my signature. And I really look forward to seeing the way that you, let me get these out of the way so you can see it better. There's my picture of the skull. I look forward to seeing how your pictures using a light source work out. Be sure to rate, subscribe, and comment. I look forward to talking with you later and seeing you at the next lesson. Thanks. Bye.